This little slice of paradise is where we ended up this week. We came down the river by just floating with the wind and the current. We came here without any power other than using the trolling motor to kind of kick in here a little bit. But this is the beach we've been on all week. It's beautiful. It's stunning. It's like my little paradise. Can't complain at all. But let's start from the beginning. The other day was the first time that she ran across the dinghy to get to the deck. I think she might do it now. But the dinghy moved a lot, and she used her nails, and I don't think that's a whole good idea, the whole thing, at all. But she ran across the dinghy to get to the back. I think it was like a zoomies thing. I don't think she thought it out. This is what I'm waking up to. We're just having morning coffee. Relaxing. We've been drifting down the river for 35 minutes. We're going to drift all the way past that next bank, which at this speed might be a little more than a couple hours. Maybe, we'll see. I don't know. And then we're going to cut in to a creek back in there and go back to some islands. Now that all the water's dropping, all those islands have beaches on them, and we're going to go back there for a couple of days. I'm pretty excited. We haven't been there since maybe April. But this way of moving up and down the river is becoming my new thing. I basically look for strong wind, anything over 5 miles an hour going in the direction that I want to go, and I pull out into the river, and my boat just becomes this huge sail. And it just, the wind is just pushing the boat turns sideways, and then the wind is just pushing the entire wall, and us just in the direction we want to go. And I'll hook up the battery and run the trolling motor to kind of push us back and forth where we want to be in the river. But this does not get any better than this. I'm going to probably hook up my hammock and relax for a couple hours with a cup of coffee while we get sent down the river with the current and the wind. Like the olden days. A lot of people would look at this as like a bad day. I mean, it's kind of gloomy, it's windy, the water's wavy. But we are just floating down the river with the current and the wind, and it's not hot. That's all you really have to say right now. It's not hot out. I think it's like 74 degrees. 9-mile-an-hour wind coming out of the south. The current's coming out of the south too, so while we have some waves, it's nothing. I mean, the boat's not moving, the kayak's moving, that's about it. It's Tuesday, it's the day after Labor Day. All weekend I was back in the waters over there, looking at the river from shallow water where no one will go. So there was a lot of people out here. It was fun to watch. Just sit on the porch here and watch people wakeboard and fish. I love watching people catch fish. People wakeboarding is kind of cool too. I don't really like wake boats, and I don't like the waves. They never reach me. I can see why people don't like them, but I also see how much fun those people have when they're wakeboarding. Like, they are smiling. You can see it from 500 feet away. Their whole face changes. And like, we made downhill ski hills in Wisconsin. Most of the way that we deal with garbage in Wisconsin is you pile it up, put dirt on it, and eventually turn it into a ski hill or like a toboggan run or something like that. And you charge people to ride up it and then come down it. So the idea of an eternal wave that you can make anywhere you want on the back of a wake boat makes sense. Although I have seen several documentaries saying that their waves go down 20 plus feet and disturb the bottom of the water. And even a day after the boats are out here, the water's already starting to be less muddy. It's very clear that when all the boats are out here and all the people are out here, you can't see anything in the water. And then by Thursday, again, it's crystal clear. But all that stops. I mean, we got one more month of people being out here, and then it'll turn into fall and winter. And people might come out in the afternoons or in the morning to go fishing, but it's, a tenth of the people. And then eventually it'll become winter, and no one will come out except for a couple of fishermen. And there's like 6 months of me just being out here alone. I might see one boat every 2 weeks. Oh, I almost tripped. That will be how I fall off the boat. I trip and just fall. Alright, so we drifted down the river and we used the trolling motor to pull back up into the creek here. Everything just looks so muddy over there. I don't know. Part of me is tempted to go look at a different beach. Just a word from our sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by All Power's 200-watt solar panel. So with the AC power being 1600 watt continuous and double that with the surge, what I like best about this is all of the plugs are in the front. And out of all the boxes that I have, this is the only one that does that. Basically, you can hook up everything. And with the 6 cameras that I use to make this video, the drone, the 2 laptops, and the phone that I use to produce these videos, this thing, all the power's got to come from somewhere. And when you're out on an island, it's either coming from the sun or running the generator. This thing has been awesome. Information will be in the description and promo code as well, so you can get a discount. After 3 tries to go to 3 different places, this is where we're ending up, and I think this is going to be perfect. It's very nature. This is an entire island that goes all the way down there. We're going to have to keep River on a leash. I know there's coyotes and snakes over here, but look at that nice beach. And then as soon as 1 o'clock hits, maybe noon, the beach will be in the shade. Can't ask for more than that. And we got a nice breeze coming here. I'm facing you south right now. Yeah, this is beautiful. Yep. And then off behind us, this is where the sunset or the sunrise will happen. And that's the main channel. So the waves can't get in here, but we can see it. So just walking around this beach and kind of exploring in the first 10 minutes, there's no animal trails, no coyote trails, no snake trails. There's 1 or 2 deer prints, but nothing else. I mean, this is going to be a perfect area to play fetch with River and let the cat explore. It's wide open. You can see everything from the boat. The sand is perfect and dry. It's just going to get in the boat. It's going to get all over the boat. The water levels are dropping, which are making all these oysters and clams move to keep themselves moist. Look at this one. During this whole time lapse, it's going to actually walk all the way out of the picture with its little foot in the back. And then another one will dig itself out too. But there it goes all the way to the right of the screen, just going right past the pontoon. Look how fast it moves. So that is actually a rocket ship. It goes by a lot. It cruises, but basically it brings rocket motors from an area inside of the United States out through the Gulf to where they launch them. And this is part of its trip. It's kind of crazy that huge ocean-going vessels just come through here. And my, like, houseboat is parked right here, you know. There's a sandbar between me and them, so I'm not going to get too big of waves. Well, how often do you get to cruise past a rocket ship in your fishing boat at 50 miles an hour? You gotta do it. Gotta do it. The day just got very weird. The wind stopped, and as you can tell, there's no noise right now. Nothing, no cicadas. Everything stopped. And also, oh, look at, yep, I feel like there's a downpour coming. Let me get this chair inside. Yeah, it's a thunderstorm coming. I don't know if you want to come out right now, Cricket. My ropes are tied to the wrong side. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna move my ropes. When I am pulled up to a beach forward like this, I tie my boat on this side of the dinghy, on this side of the houseboat, because when it's tied on that side, the dog and the cat can go from the dinghy to the deck right off onto the beach. And preferably what I like to do is leave the back door open all day so the dog and cat can kind of lay out here, and then when they're on the beach, I'm out there paying attention to what they're doing. But because of the storm that's seriously coming in right now, I'm going to move it to this side. The main reason it's going to be moved over here is because I want to, if any of our ropes break or anything, I need to have the deck and the dinghy on the same side of the boat so I can get pushed sideways to shore. In theory, what would happen if these lines broke is I would pull that way against the shore and tie the long line to that big oak right there. Yeah, look at how hard the wind is blowing. We're really lucky because the wind is coming through really strong, but the trees behind us are blocking it. The island I'm on are blocking. Look how they're hitting over there. And I'm glad that's not hitting us. I don't want to take down the solar panels, although I need to. I'm gonna do it. It's very cold rain. That water coming down off the roof is freezing. Alright, so we had this 5 minutes, or about 15 minutes of just straight downpour. Where I thought I was actually going to get some dishes done, but then it stopped raining, and now it is thunder and lightning really, really loud. I don't think I'm going to have to keep this phone on very long to catch any of it. We'll see. But it's one of those storms where, because it's so still right now, you worry it's going to linger over us. It's going to be one of those things that stays all night. Recently, I got a comment that really kind of hit home about an idea that I've had in my head for a while. It was on Instagram, and a person was reading a bunch of comments from a video that I posted, and a lot of the comments that I get are questions about things that could go wrong. And the person said, it's amazing how many of these comments are about fear or about what people are afraid of happening. And it's so true. It's like a societal thing that we live in this constant fear of things going bad, and that we have to have some sort of plan ahead of time to deal with them, and some sort of, and if we don't, if every make-believe problem can't be answered in some drawn out map, that we're just crazy for doing what we're doing. And I have to tell you, you guys are crazy for thinking that way. Coming up with make-believe problems and solutions prior to anything going wrong, that's for like lifeboats and life jackets. It's not for having 4 motors and 3 ways to get power and 16 different windows in case the sunset comes in a different angle from your boat. That's not the kind of thing that needs to be worked out all the time. And I do believe that when you're ocean cruising, and even Great Lake cruising, when I was on my sailboat, there's this distance between you and the shore that makes your ability to get help take so long. It makes you have to have some level of knowledge and preparedness. Whereas when you're river cruising and you're actually just going from beach to beach, the farthest I think I'd have to swim if anything went wrong is 500 feet. And I know river could do that. I don't know about cricket, but that's why I have 2 boats instead of just one. But that's the kind of thing I'm talking about, where we just have this mentality that when I made my imaginary boat up in my mind 10 years ago, I would build it, and then I would think of something that could go wrong, and then I would come up with an imaginary solution for that problem, and then all of a sudden I would come up with a different problem, and I'd say, oh, well, now I need 2 motors, or now I need just a little bit more solar so I could use an electric motor, or I need another lifeboat because in case this one sinks, and then that lifeboat has to hold the 4 or 5 important things like a generator, a new water source, and new food. And it would all spiral into this case where I would have a boat that was made for like Armageddon and just a beach party. And it's now all of a sudden it's not a minimalist thing at all. When in reality, someone who has no experience at all could get into a blown up kayak with a backpack with a tent, a box of granola bars, and either a water filter or a bottle of water, and go spend a couple of days out on any one of these beaches and have just as much fun as me, who has all the stuff in this boat. On the flip side of that, you could come here in a really nice boat that was made to feel like a house, where it was completely insulated, had 2 generators, lots of solar, so you didn't even need to use the generators, and still live on this beach for 2 weeks in the lap of luxury, in the same way that I'm living, without having to deal with maybe even bugs getting in your door because you have a screen-in porch, that kind of thing. So I think the videos are about starting your imagination, but what I want people to do is to realize you don't need to plan every solution for every problem that could come up, especially if you're starting in a river, even a small river, right? You can go play around with a blown up inflatable boat and have as much fun as people are.
He was named by my grandma, she got it from the Bible, and he passed it on to me like my granddaddy's rifle. Raised me up like sweet corn, created a disciple. Yeah, I fought it like hell he became a rival. Yeah, I tried to be different, trying to go against the grain. Didn't make no difference, I just seen it up the same, I've never known it. Yeah, 'cause everyone's headed. You wanna change my name, gotta drink my blood, I am my father's son. Yeah, dress blue jean jacket and his name like a badge of honor. I used to hate being called Junior, but I don't mind any longer. 'Cause everyone's silly. You wanna change my name, gotta drink my blood. Everything I am's everything he was. Damn, I am my father's son. I am my father's.
It's okay, cook it. You're alright, buddy. Alright, so hopefully that gets rid of some of the glare. If I was brave enough, I'd put my drone up. So even though it's raining, there's very little wind right now. So there are bugs everywhere out here. I'm gonna have to go inside. Look at this. Look at this light. It's mayflies. They're everywhere again. They're getting washed off the roof. That's what's happening. Oh, it's a locust. I was like, what the heck is on my foot? You don't like it? I know, buddy. I'm sorry. Kick it. So it's a wet morning. I got some damage on the boat. We'll probably talk about this week or maybe next. We'll see. I've been hearing this barge coming for maybe 20 minutes. It's right behind that. The slow hum turns into a loud roar. And eventually it actually kind of shakes the water if you're on a boat, so you can actually feel it. You get used to it. This is one of the most simplest contraptions to measure the biggest wave that comes through an area. When that bottom styrofoam worm cup goes up on that pole, it will hit the top, and the top will stay exactly where the biggest wave is. Very cheap way to figure this out. I'm just kidding. Some idiot just put their worm bucket on there. Alright, let's hope and pray that this goes well. Oh, we're already hitting rocks, dude. We're already hitting rocks, bro. Go for it. Go. Haha, good boy. Looks like they're gonna move the buoy back. Yeah. That's what that boat does. Pretty sure they have a platform, but who knows? Maybe they just might grab it. So they came through here at more than 10 knots. I mean, that boat actually cruises. And then all of a sudden they slow down to nothing, and then, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds later they're right next to that buoy. Which basically is just not right in the right place. It needs to move upriver right by that bridge. And then in reality there's 2 more green ones that are missing. Okay, so they hoisted it onto the deck. Now it looks like they're dragging it our way. And there's about 5 or 6 brand new buoys. What's weird is they're all red, sitting there on the deck too. That was a weird noise. Oh, you know what? I take it back. There's like more than 100 red ones sitting up on deck, standing right on. There's 5 laying down, but there's like 100 standing up right there. And maybe they're just red on the under part. No, those are all red. I wonder if there's green on the other side. After watching the full process, it's obviously a Coast Guard ship. They come up and there's open decks on both sides where they have a 6 or 7 man crew, 1 crane, hooking up the moorings and then connecting the buoys and dropping them in place. Also pulling back the ones that need to be fixed. I think we're safe. I think we're safe from that one, River. Pretty sure. This is something you do not see very often, but it's cool when you do see it. Those are not, they don't have anything in them. So if you'll notice where the paint line is, typically they'll film to be 10 feet. Right now, where you tie the rope off on that barge is 12 feet from the bottom of the barge. And where the paint is gone is typically where they will fill them to, where it'll be 10 feet underwater when they're driving, when they're full. And right now they're empty, so they're 10 feet higher, which means if you look at the boat, it can barely see over them. It's kind of funny. And people yell at me about me not having my steering wheel on the front of my boat. Look at that huge beach. Hit the boat. Okay, so now look at that moon just above the cliff over here. This is a beautiful lake.